I want to show you how to install Flutter. Specifically, I'm going to be installing Flutter on Windows, which is important to note because there are slight differences between different operating systems and using Visual Studio Code. Now, you can also do this with Android Studio, and that is fine. However, I'm using Visual Studio Code for a couple of reasons. Number one, I use it for other application, other development work, so I'm familiar with it. Number two, it's free. And number three, it's not a resource hog like Android Studios tends to be. So I'm going to go through and show you those processes. Now, there's two things that you actually have to install if you want to do Flutter development on your computer. So first thing you need to do is install the Flutter SDK. And I'm here at flutter.dev. And I'm simply going to go to Docs, Getting Started, and Install. Notice that is not where you started when you went to go install. When you clicked on the docs, it took you to a different location. So you have to know where to go to it. It does not have an easy download button. You'll click on your appropriate operating system. They have 4 that are available. So this is a very open development environment. You can choose around either Windows, Mac, Linux, or even Chrome OS. So you can pick your flavor that you want, and then you're going to need to download it. Now, downloading this SDK is going to take some time. It is a big file. So just to give you an idea of how big this file is to download and that it's going to take some time, the Windows download was 850 megabytes compressed, so make sure you have enough space on your machine to be able to download and install it. Now, install this is a little bit different than a normal application, and that's because you're not actually doing an install. Instead, you're just going to copy this to a location. Now, some of the instructions in here, when they talk about installing, suggest not installing it into your program files if you're under Windows. Instead, you want to install it under Users, your username, and then I created a folder called Flutter. It makes sense, and I just unzipped it all there. The reason for not using program files is that has different levels of permissions, and that can cause other issues later on. Now, once you've downloaded this into this folder, we need to do something called setting a path. And setting a path is just going to allow other applications to know where Flutter is so they can be used. And this is an important step, and a lot of people either forget to do this step or they don't know how to do this step. So let me show you really quick under Windows how you're going to do this. So I'm going to come down here to my Start menu. I'm going to right click on my little Windows button. I'm going to choose System. Over on my right hand side, I'm going to choose Advanced System Settings. And then I'm going to choose Environment Variables. Now, there's 2 different groups of environment variables, user variables and system. We're going to modify system. If you look here, there's a whole bunch of different things. I am going to choose path. These variables are in alphabetical order, so it should be easy to find. I'm going to choose edit. I used to have to know how to write out my path in a big text string. This has made it much, much easier. I simply went in, chose new, and then I typed in the path to my Flutter folder. That's all I had to do. Click OK, click OK, click OK, and OK. And now you're out of it. So very easy to do. There is no actual install. Like I said, you download the file, copy it to a location that you can access, such as C, users, your folder or your username, and then create a new folder called Flutter, then add that to your path. Once that is done, launch Visual Studio Code. If you haven't installed that, you want to go find that, install it, and then you'll be ready for the next step. Now that I'm in Visual Studio Code, I've already have it installed. I'm going to go to Extensions. Extensions is in the side menu. Looks like 4 little boxes with 1 box being pulled out from the collection of other 3. I'll do a search for Flutter, and you can see a lot of different Flutter extensions already exist. So I chose one that was just called Flutter. It's the official one. You can select it. It's about a 3 meg download. In order to download it and get it ready, it does require that you already have the Flutter SDK installed. If you do not have your Flutter SDK installed in your path set, you'll need to do that, and then you'll need to relaunch Visual Studio Code. Now, I already have the extension installed, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to close this extension window. And I'm going to go and show all commands. That's just Control-Shift-P on a PC, Command-Shift-P on a Mac. So I'm going to just start to type in Flutter there, and I'm going to run Flutter Doctor. If you scroll through this, what Flutter Doctor does, this has a -V command, so it's verbose, just lets us know that Flutter is properly installed, that Visual Studio Code can see it, and it checks to see if there's anything going on. So this is a great way to check to make sure that Flutter is properly installed and configured correctly for your machine. So you can kind of go through and just see some information, their privacy policy, and what's all being sent. You can see the Flutter tools and the Android tool chain and Chrome and Android Studio, and just kind of going on and on and on with that. So this is a really good tool for going and checking to make sure that everything works and that you'll be able to work correctly with the system. Now, I have it ready to connect with devices such as web. Flutter will work for web applications, desktop applications, and mobile applications. We're going to focus on mobile applications, so we'll need to install a mobile simulator in order to get those to work with Flutter. But for right now, we have Flutter installed and working correctly in Visual Studio Code.